Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League Promotion Tournament. My name is Smax, and I'm joined today by Mazel and Alk Battery, the latter of which one of my compatriots over on the qualifier broadcasts from this last split. And Lennon, you're going to be guiding us all the way through the NACL split and all these new teams to us anyway. Of course, we've been watching anyway. How are you two doing today?
I'm doing well. I just want to take a moment. I know we're going to be talking about teams, we're going to be talking about players. I got to talk about this really quick. We've all known each other for so long. I know I was just giving a little speech before we went on, but it's so good to be here with you two. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun. And we got some banger matchups ahead of us as well.
Yeah, it's been so long. I've actually changed out the fridge in the background.
Dude, you moved it.
I know, I moved. I moved across the country.
Where's your food?
We're having a lot of fun.
Did you leave your food in Florida?
Yeah, unfortunately. I had to do a little bit of a move. So we are going to take a look at some of our format explainer, though, because, you know, we got some fun here. But come on. No.
Wow,
we've got stuff to do, man. We've got a tight list.
Later.
We've got games.
All right, well, yeah. I guess you're right. Let's take a look at the format explainer video where you're going to hear a little bit more of my voice just saying what's going on in this tournament today.
Welcome to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League Promotion Tournament. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Smax. And we're here to talk you through everything you need to know.
The promotion tournament will feature 8 teams from the North American developmental landscape, the 4 lowest placing NACL provisional teams from Spring, and the 4 teams who earned the most qualification points across the 2 NACL Spring Open qualifiers. These 8 teams will be placed into a modified double elimination bracket. Our first round will have a provisional team matched up against a qualifier team in a best of 3.
Seeding for the 4 provisional teams was based off performance in the NACL playoffs, while the qualifier teams were ranked by total points earned across both open qualifiers. The winners of the first round will play each other in the upper bracket best of 5, with those winners becoming the first 2 teams welcomed into the summer NACL season. The losers of round 1 will be sent down to the lower bracket, where they will play a do or die best of 3 against another round 1 loser. The winners of this best of 3 will move on to our lower bracket best of 5, where they will face off against the loser of an upper bracket best of 5 to qualify for summer NACL. Those eliminated will have the chance to re-enter the open qualifiers next split to earn the chance to challenge the promotion tournament once again.
So, best of luck to the teams competing, and we'll see you there.
If you were here yesterday, you know that the hypothetical results that we put together in that video didn't quite end up the way that we thought, but you know, there's still time for Team Tony Top to make that one a reality on that side as well. So, we got a message here for you, Dimitri.
No, I know who this is.
This is the copy pasta we really need.
Rude Dude, friend of the show and broadcaster extraordinaire, also sent me this and was like, I'm spamming this. I'm a one-man army. So I'm glad that we're showing some support.
It really filled out the space. Like, it was
actually,
really nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you gotta build yourself back up. You know, it's a new place. We just heard you got all your clothes in. Yeah, you do need a fridge. I think that would probably be a good thing for you. We're gonna take a look at oh yeah.
I'm gonna get put on Gamer
Tweets. Exactly. We're gonna take a look at the new patch that everybody is playing on for this event real quick, though, just to keep things rolling. For the qualifiers teams, this is 3 patches removed from when they were playing on 13.4, and then for NACL, for all of you who watched the playoffs, those games were played on 13.5. We skipped 13.6, and we are here on the live patch. What's jumping out to you two?
I mean, first, the Thresh change, you know, changing a little bit of his cooldown on his death sentence is really big, and I spoke about it a little bit in our group chat, but the biggest change for me, Death Stance is no longer double pickaxe. That's the most important change on the patch. That's all I got.
That's all you got. I do appreciate some of the changes, although when we went into this, it was like, oh, maybe we see some changes to the Annies, things like that, but we actually still see a lot of priority on that pick just because of the decisiveness in it. But I'm interested to see kind of what the meta unfolds to be in this little promotion tournament that we have.
Right, yeah. Just yesterday in those games, we saw a few of these champions that were nerfed on 13.7, still quite prevalent. I remember Quacker's Olaf being rather deadly yesterday. So, oh yeah, that was pretty devastating. We also did get to see a champion that was buffed in this patch in Graves. Winnie pulled that one out yesterday. So, perhaps
Got
some more innovation
grazers
to come.
today in our games. Yeah, I'm
Oh, do
playing
we?
the junglers. All right,
Okay.
just saying.
Ooh, maybe
I
not
hope
just the
so.
jungle, you know? Could be mid. Thoughts?
No, I think
Spicy.
that's pretty bad. I think mid-grade
Too
is
hot.
pretty
The
not
peppers
good.
are too hot. I can't
okay.
hang.
Well, you know who else was a little too hot and had to cool down was Ashe, who is not on this patch but was nerfed a few times since the qualifiers on 13.4. A lot of those teams did pull it out quite a few times, enough to where Chookies actually got it banned against him just yesterday, but not the strongest support in the game anymore. That's not on this patch note right now, but as we said, there are a few in between those games and now, so good to mention that. I think it's also good to mention that even though Yuumi did get a new skin right there in the bottom right,
Oh.
is disabled alongside new support Milio.
Just not gonna throw the Kindred skin in there. I see how it is. That was an instant buy for me, by the way.
Yeah, no, that, I haven't played Kled in a long time. That skin right there actually makes me want to play a lot more Kled. It has been a lot of fun to see that, and it's sad because we're not going to see Milio or Yuumi for a really long time in competitive.
Yeah. Probably until June, right? That's when the summer split starts around. We are in the twilight of the spring split. I don't think it's even going to be enabled in MSI, right? So
Nope.
Yeah, pretty far removed from our new support friends, the Yuumi and the Milio. I've been playing them a lot, and I got to say, Yuumi, not great, but Milio's a good one for sure.
It is real good.
Milio's way too strong.
Yeah.
We need to unbench the Kench for Yuumi
Ooh.
at some point. We need a phrase. Just saying.
Yes, maybe just go back to the cat shelter for Yuumi right now. She's not very. I don't think anyone wants to pick her at the moment. But if you were here yesterday, we did get to see a bunch of the caster ratings for how likely they think all of the teams are to promote out of this event. We had 4 of them yesterday. We got 4 more of them today, starting off with FLYF. And I gotta say, Kangas is the biggest FlyQuest believer. I thought I would be, honestly. I've got a 9 for them, but Kangas all the way at 10.
Jeez. That's an insanely good picture of Lennon, by the way. Mazel, I don't know where this picture is from, but this picture has such big chat energy on it. I don't know why.
Saved in my computer as Mazel Smug. I don't know why it's called that, but you know, I actually am interested in the fact that Kangas went a full 10 out of 10. But this does look like one of our most stable, especially with the late season resurgence we had from them. I think that's why you see so many high markings for this squad.
For sure.
Yeah, we did see yesterday as well, not a lot of people believing in Supernova. FlyFam did steal their jungler. So that's something we're going to talk about, I'm sure, later, but that's a big portion of it. Moving on to Team Tony Top. You guys believe in them a little bit more than I do. I think I gave them the lowest score.
Okay. Look, I'm glad that we have like the happy medium, right? Where like Summer is completely low on these guys. I'm somewhere in the middle. For the qualifier streams, I've almost exclusively been streaming Tony Top like throughout both qualifiers, so it makes sense that maybe I have like a little bit more faith. But Mazel going, I don't want to say whole hog at 4, but I mean that's some of the higher ratings.
Experience. Yeah, I was gonna say 4 doesn't feel that high, but it comes with a little bit of experience. I think that they have on the table, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I'm at the lowest for Team Tony Top. I'm the highest for Team Liquid first. So if that says anything about...
Face.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I worked really hard on that. That took a few takes, honestly. But yeah, I believe in this team. We're gonna be talking about them a bit later, but I'm looking forward to seeing them smash it with the new 80 carry Swaparoo. And I think moving on to Team Fish Taco, here's where we have to caveat that Ravish didn't understand the prompt. As he did give them a 6.
All of these are just this one.
I think
In
just
all of
this
them,
one.
but I think this is the most telling one.
He's got that merch. They gave out really cool stickers.
That's true.
Spring
I got a
finals
sticker
last
too.
year, so
I have a really cool pen.
me too. It's on one of the coats in the back.
Mine's over here on the right side. But anyways, I think it is interesting because you do see pretty consistent placing for a lot of our qualifier teams as well.
Yeah. We, of course, have the bracket here as well. And yeah, as you said, the qualifier teams looking like there isn't a lot of people believing in them, but that just means that the expectations are lower and the underdog narrative is here. And I think for Team Tony Top and Team Fish Taco, they can really work with that in stride as they're going to be playing against some of our LCS affiliated teams here in the qualifier tournament, or the promotion tournament, excuse me.
All right, well, I mean, we could take speaking on that, we could just take a look at the actual matchups for today. Our first one going to be FlyFam versus Tony. And then we've got TLF versus the Taco Gamers. I mean, if there's any matches, it's probably going to be this one, right? In terms of like the seeding coming into the tournament, and specifically yesterday's games, we're hoping for series that are going to be a little closer.
I'm just saying, Tuesdays are for tacos. I don't know. We gotta see what they got.
No.
The script writes itself. I don't know how they do it. Every time they are seemingly playing on Tuesdays. Just happens, man.
I wanna caveat this because Team Fish Taco different from Taco Gaming from last year. They both have taco in the name.
In general, theme, because that is their tri-code.
Yes, we here in the semi-pro scene do love our taco-themed teams, and seemingly we love our Tony-themed teams as well, as the chat is voting for Team Tony Top to win over FlyFam right now. Let's take a look at the FlyFam roster just a little bit. I mentioned it before. They are rocking with Hyper in the jungle position ever since early in the season, and they've got also the other faces that we have grown to love throughout the entire spring split.
Yeah, it's been really awesome actually to see FlyFam. Obviously, their playoff runs I think were cut a bit short than maybe they were expecting, but that the late surge that we saw from them past week 4, where they started to pick up multiple wins, Hyper finally getting integrated into the team now with a month off from the playoffs. Hopefully, we can see them be a little bit more proactive. Talking with Blaze, he's saying we've been scrimming in that entire month, and we have a couple of clips for FlyFam of some of their performance, but Hyper, man, like this guy revitalized this roster from everybody's expectations.
I mean, you'll see a couple steals here. He was incredible in their late season resurgence. I know you had a tweet about it, Smacks, in the moment, but
I did.
While yes, you could say the entire season was not that successful, the end push was what really shone a light on this team for me.
Yeah, 1-17 before Hyper in the regular season, and once Hyper joined, they bumped that win count up to 4 with only 8 losses. And for a new player stepping into this team, I'd say that's pretty remarkable. They did, of course, have a few different junglers swapping in and out, and it's good to mention as well, Hyper did come from Supernova, who we did see play just yesterday against AoE Gold, as we've got some nice jersey images from him. I love the Supernova jersey that we came up with. It's great.
It's beautiful. I'm glad that we could see more of that. And not only that, but Hyper's not the only qualifier team kind of promotion that we saw throughout the split. I think most of them have been performing admirably for their circumstances. And Hyper, for sure, I think is one of the most standout when we talk about what he brought to this team and specifically what this team looked like after that swap.
Yeah, I've been really interested at how kind of that aggressive play style that we know him for has played into kind of that late season resurgence, because it seems to enable a lot of the solo lanes and the things that felt like were a little bit weak going into the mid part of the season. And it's going to be more interesting seeing how that's developed over the month coming into this.
Yeah. Hyper came up from that qualifier zone on Supernova. We've got one of our better seeded teams from those qualifiers here in Team Tony Top. I am
what a wonderful roster.
I'm very impressed by that, the fact that we managed to get that picture on the left there of Tony. I mean, I don't know how we got such a high quality picture.
Have been got. I mean, it's incredible stuff.
A rare picture.
I gotta get my hands on that jersey.
Yeah.
the accent, just the absolute focus on the face.
Well, they're pretty really expensive because it's not just a regular T-shirt. If you saw the Snow 2 interview from the NACL Shack that we had on Twitter, you have to hold up a tablet or at least a computer.
I see.
It's really expensive.
Probably one of the most expensive pieces of team merch I've ever seen.
A fully digital screen on top of the team merch just makes Team Tony Top that much more valuable. Dimitri, tell me a bit more about how Team Tony Top played throughout the entire qualifiers.
Well, a lot of it was really slow. Their average game time was remarkably slow, but when we saw this team win, it was going to be around Sudsy having these pretty big performances and on control mages, and specifically for Tony Top, it is going to be his Fiora, his Jax, the things that we know him for, the thing that he's kind of famous for on the solo queue ladder, just monstering team fights. The laning phase can be a little slow for this team, but their bot lane included, they were looking to flip at every single instance. So look out for this team. Hopefully we get to see some of that explosive nature, and I know that these boys have been really prepping for this tournament, looking forward to it since they've been performing really well in the qualifiers so far.
And Tony Top being lane focused, not something that is too dissimilar to how he played when he was in the academy system, right?
Yes.
Right, Mazel?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting as well going into this matchup because both, or at least Lunacia on the other side, feels like they play exactly the same. They have a lot of the same champion pools. So I'm really interested we just get those fisticuffs in top lane or forget what we've kind of seen all season long here. But I'm hoping for the fisticuffs because we have some pretty nice boxers in the ring, it feels like, in the top lane, huh?
Yeah, I mean, one of them's got quite the accolade as well. Tony Top just recently hit 2,000 LP thanks to the new and improved LP gains on the ladder up to 2K. I do believe he is still rank 1 right now as well, although the illustrious 2,000 LP, not quite there. I do remember a reply to this very tweet from Griffin, who currently holds the rank 2 spot, who said that his LP is the year that he was born.
Oh, wow. I mean, Mazel and Cubby are currently reeling from that fact, so we'll see.
Why you gotta do that, man? There was a bus coming. I was sitting there minding my own business on the side of the road. You just...
Look, I mean, Griffin is obviously contesting him, but also another Challengers player that we have. Copy is one of the other players that's sitting up in the high ranks of Challenger, and all three of these players are kind of pushing each other. So it's really cool to see, and glad that we have some solo queue representation coming in for our promotion matches.
Yeah. Well, we've got a word from Lunacia as well on his lane opponent, Team Tony Top's top laner. Tony Top, that's a lot of T's. Let's just hear the interview.
Playing in NACL helps players, especially players like me who don't like to talk on like social media a lot, which I'm less known. Playing in NACL also helps to showcase these less popular players, and it helps me like get a little bit of that light. Well, Tony Top is gonna be kind of scary. Tony Top, 2K OP, rank 1 top laner, and I get compared to Tony Top a lot, especially that we're both Chinese. We both play top lane. We both play like similar champ pools, so I don't want to let the people who's expecting me to win down, and I'm gonna try my best.
He's been one of our best top laners all split long in terms of at least the teams that we've seen kind of working their way from the bottom in NACL. And I think this guy, I've talked to him probably 3 or 4 times in interviews throughout the entire split, and he's been so shy but so kind and so nice, but then he's also trashing people on the rift. So I think this guy has so much to grow, and he's already shown so much that it's really interesting when you hear him talk about a lot of these matchups, and not a lot there, but in terms of how he approaches the game and the kind of respect he has for his opponents.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have some respect against Tony Top, the player whose namesake is the entire team that he is opposing, Lunacia and Tony Top and the rest of these 2 teams. They're getting into the draft, boys, so we got to get in for our first game of the day. Take it away.
All righty. Thank you so much, Spax. We'll be getting into it now. You've taken it.
Yes.
We are into draft, though. Tony Top will be on the red side. We do have FLYF, or on the blue side rather. We do have FLYF on the red side. And I do wonder where these bans come through. We were talking a little bit about the patch and what kind of changes we saw yesterday's performances, a lot of the focuses we saw there. But we do see also the Jace already coming off the board for FLYF. We have the Gragas, the Rakan now as well for Tony.
I'm actually really interested to see if we're going to see the legendary Jax matchup. Both of these guys have made a huge name on Jax, Tony Top being the best Jax on the North American server, and you look across from him, Lunacia coming into Challengers League, no one knew anything about him. You look on a solo queue, it's mostly Jax, and so people were like, "Oh,
they just don't want to equip a real weapon."
They'd rather fight. They want lampposts, maybe in Tofos now that Cassante is banned, but mostly it has been the focus for both of these teams. Ban Jax. You're getting rid of Jax. It's one of the most banned for both of these guys. And I think if you were to leave it up, we get some interesting matchups here where maybe we see the Camille. Maybe we see some of that Fiora. We get to see some of the more of those skill matchups between these two.
But you know what we don't see change? Is the bot lane right now. And Zeri is the first pick for Tony. A little bit of late game insurance, but also just the strength that Zeri brings to the table, even though she was on the nerf table there that we saw in our patch preview. But we'll see what the double lock-in is here for FLYF. I do expect an answer to the bot lane, not getting any more of those ADCs kind of banned away. We already saw the Varus focus there, that Rakan focus as well. But I do also want to see a little bit of priority given over to these junglers. I think we obviously were highlighting so much the top lane, but I also find it very interesting at how aggressive but how control-oriented these junglers will be in this one, and see if they can get themselves some resources early. And we have our first in the Vi for FLYF.
Ooh, okay, Hyper picking up the Vi, and you know, even taking a look at what they could potentially grab here in the bottom lane with Aphelios here.
I know things sometimes.
I mean, thankfully you've been on the Challengers broadcast for a bit now, so I hope you have a little bit more.
A little bit.
You've picked up on some of that knowledge. Now, Vi for Hyper, I think, is super interesting. Not only in the fact that it is a champion that he hasn't really picked up a lot of games on, in particular, but when we were looking at Hyper, even just coming out of the tier 2 scene, he was someone that really kind of was maligned on his exit out of Challengers, out of Academy, and this year I think he has so far rebuilt himself as this massive early game aggressive player, and I think retooled a little bit of his pathing. I'm really interested to see what he can do on this Vi as a champion that really can get a lot done, and that lockdown for Zeri we've been talking about.
Exactly. The lockdown is so important, and it's also the decision making for him that is so important. When you see those steals, when you see a lot of these big moments for him, it is that he has some strength in his own right. Now we will see some strength given to the team at least, but some strength in control utility. We get the Maokai locked in for Wallflower, also previously known as Iconic, but we'll see what FLYF want to do before the second phase. They go ahead and lock in the Ahri here, so a very strong mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, it's one of Blaze's most played champions just in general, and something that they're going to be looking for. I want to see how FlyFam can move around, because this mid-jungle is super deadly. Vi Ahri, they can find combos, whether that is against the opponent mid laner, or going to be roaming down into the side lanes. We put so much emphasis on the top lane, but we already talked about how Vi and Zeri works. Everyone's seen it for the last couple of months. Don't think I have to explain it all that much. I am going to be looking at how Tony Top kind of build this out, because mid lane for them is typically a control mage. Aurelion Sol's the biggest one that I think obviously screams out to a lot of people, but Azir is a champion that Sudsy has been making a lot of moves on in the qualifiers, and it seems like they want to really hammer down, okay, we know that this is an Ahri pick, let's get rid of some uncomfortable things here for our Tony Top.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of what they lean into the second phase of bans, especially the last one here. We already had that Tristana focus for FlyFam, so a little bit of that mid lane focus there for them, trying to get away maybe some of those AD mid laners. But they go with the Silas second, so trying to take away some of those ulti steals, things like that, but also that sustained strength from the mid lane. And I expect more top lane matchup bans here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
how much focus there is, but no, it's actually the Thresh. And I know you were talking about that in the patch rundown that we were doing earlier.
Yeah, I actually really like the Thresh. We didn't talk about it there, but the fact that it's gone means that Aphelios doesn't have a lot of that safety is something that they could be looking for. Oh,
that's a rock.
My God, Lunacia?
That's a rock.
What?
There's a literal mountain.
That's his first Malphite. This is going to be his first Malphite game on the stage. So we'll be kind of taking a look. He's got it. A lot of people have been very high on Malphite. There's a lot of AD, obviously, in the game right now that are very prevalent. And Malphite has a lot of matchups that are just not popular right now. So this is getting fun.
Saying, Levitate is not gonna play the game. Like I feel real bad, but it's not gonna happen. That's gonna be a lot of lockdown once that level 6 is marked. But I typically like the Kennen pick into the Jax, and a lot of strength that comes out with the team fight and things like that. But this is that single target focus. They know exactly what their game plan is for FlyFam, and I love it. It sets that bar of execution a little bit lower, but we do see some of that comfort coming through. The Lulu that buffs the Zeri to infinite heights, and that Azir coming through for Sudsy. We will see the instant lock-in of the Nautilus here for FlyFam, and there is a roam-heavy CC comp coming out from the team in green.
We were talking about, hey, engaged champions being really popular since we got rid of all of the enchanters. I keep making fun of Snow. I've been talking to him throughout all of the qualifiers, and I'm like, when are you going to stop playing Ashe? Like, when are we going to stop playing all of these ranged enchanters or ranged support champions? And he's like, dude, I can't stop playing it. They're too broken.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Lulu will be a lot of fun, but FlyFam here have a very aggressive composition. You can play around this bot side very easily, and so I want to see how Blaze will move out of lane, and specifically how they'll be able to focus early dragons, because that has been something they have been really weak on in the regular season and in playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm interested at how they execute on that, because obviously that is a big conversation that we have to have coming into this one, is execution on these comps. I was talking about a little bit of lowering of the bar. We'll see if they can do that, but the team fight, the heaviness that comes into those 5-on-5s later, it's going to be something to deal with as we have our first series of the day kicking off. We've got FlyFam taking on Team Tony Top in our Spring 2023 LCS Challengers Promotion Tournament. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I couldn't be more excited to be joined by you, Alk. As we get onto the red, we got our standard 5-on-5, but it is all about where this early pathing leads. And now we get a little bit of that level 1 spice coming in from FLYF. Just checking things out, just seeing what there could be.
I was looking forward to it. I was wondering, hey, if you have a Nautilus, you should always be looking to try to do this kind of stuff, right? Like, level 1, walk in, maybe you'll try to find something, maybe you'll try to blow a summoner spell, but at least for Tony Top, you will not need to worry about that. So, in the early game, we already set it up. We're looking for Hyper and Blaze to really kind of be the early game engines for this team in this composition. And for Tony Top, you're just standing still. You just have to make sure you do not lose the game hard. You can lose it gracefully. You can use it, like being down, I think, 2,000 gold at about 15 minutes is going to be a sweet spot for them. This is a team that typically doesn't have a lot of early action, but once we get into that later, once we get to like those first, second item power spikes, this team does start to come alive, and they have a lot of veterans. Sudsy, Wallflower, Tony Top, they've been playing forever in Tier 2 and Tier 3. So in the semi-pro space, there's a lot of well-known names, and they're looking to try to help them take on FlyFam.
Yeah, not only the Tier 2, Tier 3, but at the very, very top, right? We had Wallflower, formerly Iconic, the promotion from Maryville University.
Yes, Tony!
So we get Tony Top going in with his former Jax, and now he's taking down Hyper. First blood! And Tony's coming for their heads!
This is why you don't give him Jax, man! What are you doing? Like, this is similar to some of the strategies we've been seeing with Fiora, where she can get in very early on and aggress onto the enemy jungler. If Vi is starting up there, that was a really good ward coming out from Wallflower to say, hey, look, I know that you're starting topside. Let's just get this over with. I'm going to find you out, and just good vision coming out from the side of Tony Top ends in a first blood for Tony.
And the fact that this pick has gone over is like standing in the middle of a train track and not expecting to get hit by a Jax-sized train as it comes to town. You didn't have a ticket.
Oh, dude, this is like, I mean, in all fairness, this is the correct play, right? Like, Malphite does nothing in the early game. This champion is useless. There's a reason why he's gone for the Doran's Ring, and the Arcane Comet wants to go for a little bit of poke in the lane. That's how you can get around this. Snow taking a lot of damage there, and hopefully Levitate trying to trade, but that is very dangerous, and it obviously sets Hyper behind, and it makes this early game matchup that we were looking for a lot more difficult. You already see Wallflower here is already starting to steal away some camps, and this feels really bad if you're Vi. You're like, I'm looking for stuff. I have red buff. There are still things that he can do. There are still options for him to go for. He's not out of the game, but it is certainly a lot more difficult, especially with how much control Maokai can bring.
And I love that you talked about control, because when we were talking about the jungles coming into this one, they were very control-oriented, right? Decisive junglers coming into this. But Wallflower are more known for that flexibility, right? He has been a very strong control jungler, but he's also been very flexible in terms of the resources dividing and getting a lot of resources to the right area. But now that Tony Top is enabled on the top side, Tony's just going to be proxy of the wave. That literally enables the rest of the entire map for Iconic, and it is so much of a chokehold that can be put here by Tony Top. And it's going to be really interesting how FlyFam kind of react to this.
Well, you already know, enemy jungler has no camps. Wallflower is like, I went bot side. We know that he's doing the Gromp. Tony does not have to be worried unless Hyper really flips his pathing. This is just good play coming out from Tony to make sure that they're punishing Lunacia in the early game. Somewhere where, look, he's not going to have those fancy outplays. He's not going to gain more of those solo kills that we've seen from him throughout the split. It is going to be, we're coming for team fights. We're going to hope that our Malphite can just show up and press R on this area. And, hey, if it lands on a Sudsy, exactly, it's all you need. You're looking for resets with this.
Oh, Blaze. Getting a little bit low. Sudsy might be baited. There's a flash actually coming out for Blaze, so that'll definitely be revisited. And Hyper can't do anything to really dissuade any of that. So you see Wallfire playing even more aggressive now.
Ooh, this is such a good spot. I'm glad that we get to see this from Sudsy, a player who has been playing in semi-pro for so long. And with this wave where it is, it's going to force Blaze to have to teleport. And it is stuck right now. If R does come, she's going to try to fix this, get this under the turret. She could look for a potential roam. But otherwise, Sudsy is perfectly chilling. He's playing Azir. He's having a lot of fun. Wait, what is this?
Trees! They're coming out of the ground! Oh my goodness, Wallflower gets the kill off bot side. You didn't see that one coming.
He has done things like this on Wukong, and the fact that he just decided to force it is insane. Really good find there from Wallflower to have a bit of an angle to go for, recognizing, hey, if they're not here for this dive, we can just make this happen. Maybe they were just trying to go for a summoner spell, but a kill is definitely going to be worth it, as it's only Instinct's Ghost. They need to be able to find a little bit more, and they even get to get that wave under it. So Levitate and Snow getting an early lead thanks to their jungler.
There's no camps down there. You make camps. You turn the enemy into camps. And now that, again, he didn't have any camps to steal, so he just wanted to wrap around, and we haven't seen a real answer come out from Hyper. We're obviously getting close to those level 6s for mid lane. Obviously, Sudsy already having it, but I'm looking for this mid-jungle duo to be proactive, to have a little bit of oomph in the tank, because that's what we were highlighting in the draft, how strong these two can be together.
Well, Lennon, do I have news for you? Blaze has hit level 6, so
let's go.
Look for what he can do, and you already saw that there were pings coming out. Hyper moving in, getting early vision down bot side. If Snow makes a small misstep, Hyper can look to try to go over. You even see Swords already moving, so now that they know that the teleport from Sudsy is out, you should be looking for this dive onto the wave. He has Infernum as well on Instinct. They're going to go for this. Remember, Flash is available for all the members here except Blaze.
Tony knows, but is it going to be enough? The CC does not connect. A quick flash from both Tony members on the bot side. That means FlyQuest don't get the dive off, but they do get some plates over.
I think if they have just waited for Sword to get into position, he should be the first one to look for engage, as it means the rest of your CC is going to land. There's also a minion wave there, so it's a little tough for Blaze to land the charm, but still, even without that, even just getting the summoner spells, both Ghost and Flash from both of these bot laners, turns into 2 plates for the bot lane, which should get them back to parity, and this first early dragon, which is what we wanted to see for FlyFam.
Yeah, just that proactivity coming through, and nicely timed as well. They will secure that one. And I will check in a little bit, though. Even though Tony Top has definitely gotten a little bit of breathing room on the top side, we're actually getting Lunacia online now. He is that level 6 mark here. Not going to be joining the team unless we get a fight over Rift Herald, but we've seen a little bit of stabilization in the top, and that early advantage only leading out to 1K does mean that FlyFam are absolutely still in a driver's seat here, and with that duo coming online as well from the mid lane.
We'll see. Right now, Wallflower looks like he's trying to go bot side. He does have the ultimate here, and we already were talking about it. Maybe they don't find that pick onto Instinct, but instead try to look for Sword, who is not quite level 6 here.
The trees!
Here they come!
Those aren't trees, those are ghosts.
Oh, wait, what?
He took it too early. He took the Dredgeline too early, and Instinct dies. That's huge stuff from Tony. And again, Wallflower knows exactly where to exploit. He's done so now 2-0.
Oh, just insane. Really good, find there for Wallflower, but that is just a big mistake coming out from FlyFam's bot lane. Instinct and Sword. I think Sword kind of thinking, hey, if I tank the first Maokai ultimate, the second, all the little, roots that are coming in should be fine, right? Like, we're not going to have an issue here, but it lands onto Instinct. Instinct, I think, obviously trusting his support to tank that for him. It turns into another kill, it turns into them losing more camps, and while Hyper is on a champion that doesn't necessarily need a lot of farm, we are looking for them to get to level 6 as soon as possible, and maybe they make a roam on the top side here. Dings over will now have the Vault Breaker. I mean, Ari, we're still going to wait for this move as Sudsy is just now coming back to lane. Tony Top is just chilling. We've been talking about it, but he's having a lot of fun up here. There's no one coming up.
And I'm wondering now how much priority we see over this Rift Herald. Obviously, FlyFam would love to get a little bit of that back for themselves. It actually looks like he's going to go ahead and start this up. So we have the roam from Sword coming up just to ensure this. Blaze also moving up from mid lane. So that should be another objective actually picked up by FlyFam. And that's actually pretty big because that's some standing gold on the map.
Yeah, this was a good timer for them. They knew that, hey, Wallflower had just used the ultimate, so this fight shouldn't be their fight, and Sword making that move first. It seems like for Tony Top, they really want to try to focus on this bot lane matchup, and I think it's really interesting. We didn't touch on it during the pre-show. I think we'll have a little bit of time here with this Rift Herald unless Hyper wants to go for something. Levitate and Snow are a very new bot lane. Where you look across from them, Instinct obviously had that stint on TSM, but has been someone who's been sitting around in the tier 2 spot for a long time. Sword as well in his kind of still feeling out the support role. Levitate and Snow have basically played for about 6 months total. Levitate had a little bit of a time on USC, and for Snow, he's been bouncing around some of these other organizations, but really hasn't kind of found that spot. And so far this year, they've been a very explosive duo, and one that has led this team to victory so often.
Getting some kill participation as well early on. We'd obviously love to have a little bit of gold on Levitate, but giving it to Wallflower early is huge because obviously the mind at hand when you're looking at Wallflower is what you're really dissecting, right? And we've already said, former pro player for Golden Guardians, but it really was the kind of legacy that was established at Maryville that this player has built himself off of. And while taking a step back, he's ready to compete in a way that makes him feel comfortable, right? He is here because it feels like he combines so well with Tony Top, the map control he has, the kind of mind that he has when it comes to approaching the jungle early on and throughout the game for facilitation, but as well as carry potential.
All right, well, we have Dragon in the next minute and a half, and right now Wallflower is just doing it's just doing that, getting down vision, using these saplings to just control the majority of the map, make sure that fog is very dangerous for FlyFam to walk into. And if you know Iconic or Wallflower, this guy's pretty quiet. I'll hold that to Sudsy now.
There we go. Sudsy getting engaged on. That's all that CC chain we were talking about. And Sudsy takes it to the dirt. As Wallflower does use that Nature's Grass. That will be a big cooldown down, but trying to help Sudsy to some extent. But FlyFam, they've just been really decisive, right? The composition, that CC lockdown, the exact thing we saw coming, that train, but now on the other side is here to stay.
I think this is a really good point for what we've seen from both of these teams, right? We talked about Tony Top being a rather slow team, but so far Wallflower finding early aggression alongside Tony Top. And then you look at the other side where you stopped Hyper from getting an early game lead. You stopped him from really kind of being able to cross the other half of the rift of the river. And now that he has level 6, he feels a little bit more confident. He's like, okay, the gap is not that big. Like, I'm not that far behind. I need to be looking for plays. And linking up with Blaze, linking up with Sword, it turns into them getting more plates. And I think this should be them potentially even looking for the Dragon here. They won't have the Ari ult or the Vi ultimate, but that is also, like we were just talking about, their counterparts not having that, right?
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much of that priority comes to bear. We have so much vision around that Dragon Pit, and you already see pings coming down. It looks like priority should be gained from mid lane from Tony, as we'll see them actually move through to try to clear some of this, but it should be an advantageous moment for them and try to even up this Dragon score.
They are going to be clearing out vision for the time being and really trying to hammer away at, hey, Lulu just showed mid, let's get plates down to mid lane. Let's try to get this wave in, and we'll walk in with Hyper through this bottom lane ramp into the jungle. So looks like now they'll be the ones, there's a little bit of a tango dance right now where they're just walking around like, we're going to clear your vision, you're going to clear ours, and big eyes are going to be on these ultimates, which are just now coming up. And you see the mid laners are starting to scrap for that mid lane priority to move into the river.
And we said how important an early advantage, but also just control is for both of these two teams, but more so for FlyFam in the moment. And they've tried to exert some of that control towards the bottom side using this heavy roam style. It feels like leaving Instinct in the bottom side of the map. Now we've had a change of sides here as FlyFam will be coming from the mid lane. Tony Top team will be coming from the bottom side of the map. And we'll actually see a little bit of engage here, but it looks like more positioning in favor of Tony.
They are not starting up this Dragon, and they take it pretty slow right now, especially with Sudsy not here, so they're going to lose out on this mid wave, and now both top laners should be looking to come in. Yeah, Malphite coming in, he has his ultimate.
There's a big old rock headed your way. I didn't know mountains could move, but here comes the Moonlight Vigil. Does go wide. We got Blaze going in, and here it goes right onto the target, but they don't have the damage.
Watch Tony.
Lightning Crash comes across, and that's a big Emperor's Divide, but there's so much CC that they still take down Levitate. It doesn't matter, though. The trio is still here. Blaze flashing over the wall, tries to get a big damage potential out of Sudsy. We can't find it. Now you got Tony Top flashing for another kill, and there you go. Tony Top says, I am king with a double kill. And a win for Tony Top team in the bot side fight, 3 for 2.
Oh, they don't even get the Dragon, but they're going to get a ton of plates here. Tony just making a pretty big roam here. As we check in the replay, we talked about it. Lunacia is going for the teleport, and Jax is just walking into Fog of War. There's no one marking him in this fight, and there's no instinct to deal damage. He is one of the biggest damage shares for this team, and he's just not able to put down DPS. Shout out to Sudsy for this Azir ultimate, just completely wiping this team. And while everybody's trying to focus out Zeri, we talked about it from the draft, Sudsy and Tony Top just come up clutch for this team in the fight.
Yeah, nobody's really focusing on them. All eyes were straight onto Levitate, and they didn't have the follow-up, so then they just leave themselves out to dry to some extent. And that's where this Team Tony Top composition can punish you so heavily, because they have a lot of those spacing tools available to them after you can overextend like that. So now they do take the Dragon. They end up getting the evening of the Dragon score and find themselves about 2.5k in the lead.
it's a bit of a hat trick, you know? They're dangling the Zeri, like, guys, look, you don't want the Zeri moment, right? Like, you got to be able to go for this. And the entire time, Tony Top and Sudsy are just kind of like sitting in the background waiting as pretty big carries. But right now, we're seeing the kind of the after effects of that play. They actually ended up getting the dragon there, so Tony Top going to be delaying. We're going to have the Cloud Soul as well, and I love this from Wallflower. Doesn't even actually have to show up, but shadowing for his mid laners to prevent the dive from Hyper and Sword.
Looks like FlyFam want to go ahead and get out of this space here, but that is where I do want to bring the conversation back, because we are seeing Wallflower start up this objective. Looks like it will be just given over, but Tony Top got the Jax, right? Is this something where Lunasia is saying, okay, maybe I give him the Jax for game 1, he'll give me the game for 2, and we'll figure out how it goes later on. But I want to see how this kind of comes into play, as we actually do get a full commit to a late Rift Herald contest here. They'll go straight in, and it's stolen by Hyper. We said at the start of the day, you gotta watch the steals. And the man comes clutch yet again. Tony Top is a little angry. Wants to go in, but does overextend himself. Now he's locked down. That's the Wild Growth. We got Blaze on the backside here. Hyper goes right back in. And now the Emperor's Divide has come out to separate on the other side. But it's the red-white time to fight for FlyFam as a double kill goes across to Hyper. Tony is
they can win this
in a little bit. They're actually taking down Lunasia here with a lot of the poke damage and the Ultra Shock laser from Levitate.
That's a good trade for them. You're feeling happy if you're FlyFam, but right there, we got to see it a little bit. Tony Top being a little aggressive, maybe a bit too aggressive, as we were giving him praise on the broadcast there. Good job from the side of Hyper and Blaze specifically, kind of zoning Sudsy out of that. As we get a replay of this, we were talking about how good Hyper is at steals. This guy's insane. Like, that was a really good job from them, and that's just kind of Tony Top not necessarily paying respects. Tony TP'd for this. If FlyFam just walked away, they would have been up on this play.
But I'll just say also, that comes to that experience we've highlighted for both of these two junglers, right? Hyper being a member that we've seen throughout this space, but also just being that late game, late season resurgence for FlyFam in a lot of these big moments around objectives.
Yeah.
And you see this aggressive playstyle highlighted by the decisiveness that comes through. And while we do see Tony able to kind of respond in that moment, it is a big standing gold left on the map for FlyFam.
And so right now, let's take a look at the map, right? When we're talking about these teams, Jax is obviously going to be a huge menace in the side lane right now. He's going to look to try to finish off what looks to be a death stance, or at least something that's a little bit more of that bruiser itemization. But you have a Zir as well on the opposite side, where for FlyFam, you've got Malphite, not a great side laner, someone who's going to be pretty slow, really wants to group, and Ahri, who can be someone that's going to be looking to move and push. We haven't necessarily seen that from Blaze all that often this match, so kind of liking the style that we're seeing, where they're pairing Blaze in a side lane and then they're shadowing him to give him some support. But unless they actually make good on this, and hopefully with this Rift Tail they're going to be looking for a turret, this should be, you know, something that we're looking out for, especially when they're looking to split the map, go for those dragons. It is spawning in a minute and a half. You take this bot lane turret, feeling really good about that.
Yeah, and I'm interested in the itemization as well, because we do have our first items pretty much getting online here. We have the Sunfire obviously lofted into by Lunasia, but we get the crown actually complete for Sudsy, so he really is playing a very utilitarian Azir at this point. Oh no, they finally see Tony Top. He decided not to back like 3 times, so now he finds himself here, but he is Tony Top, and he is on his Jax. We'll see if he's got the mechanics to get out of this 1v3, as he's going for a counter-strike, does get stunned up, charmed, goes on to Blaze. He doesn't have that Spirit Rush charge, has another counter-strike there, trying to get some CC down, but can't do it. Blaze gets the kill.
And because they invested so many resources into trying to kill Tony there, it turns into this. Instinct.
He does have the Gale Force. Oh, Levitate once.
Levitate!
He's going all the way as another kill comes across. The kill actually goes over to Wallflower, and that's a mid lane gone as well. Ooh. There will be a Rift Herald in bot side, but it's a response.
Yeah, okay, but Rift Herald is pretty massive here. Like, yeah, you got the tier 1 in mid, which should open up the rest of the map, but you just got 2 turrets onto Blaze, and they should be able to reset and be here on time for this dragon. Instinct will not be here. However, I think this is going to be really strong. We'll see what Tony can do because they summon the Azir turret in mid. It does give them a little bit more leeway to move into the river. There's also the Rift Herald spawn, not the Rift Herald, sorry. We got 30 seconds until the Baron spawns. Like, this is really tough, I think, for FlyFam. You're trying to force this. You're not going to have your AD carry here. And I think that there's a possibility where if maybe they take a little bit too long of a time, Tony Top could look to threaten the Baron in the next coming minutes.
see if they do want to opt into that here, but it will be a second dragon going over to FlyFam, so stacking their way up to a Cloud Soul. Maybe a little bit less priority on that, but again, control is the name of the game at this point. Yeah, you know,
you would eviscerate you for saying that on the cast.
I was gonna say we'll be getting some Twitch chat notifications, I'm sure, from Magical, but I do expect to see a continuation of this heavy CC composition for FlyFam, looking for picks, finding ways to catch people out in the side lane, because they do just have so much of that control when it comes to locking down one member, making sure they don't have a good time.
Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of turrets here, and Hyper's trying to force the issue, potentially looking to get a summoner spell out and look to threaten onto the Baron. But until they start to knock down more of these turrets, that win condition for FlyFam is not really going to be a problem for Tony. They really need these outer turrets to be an issue so that Ahri can look to push, and then they get vision down into the other side. Now, Zedzi standing under his turret. Hyper was trying to fish for something because he knows Blaze and Sword are there, but yeah, they as you can see, they need these turrets like really really bad.
He's getting the crown smites down, just making sure that he can take the crown on. Make sure he knows the timings, how much it takes. You know. No, we will get the reset actually from a FlyFam here, so it looks like they want to go ahead and get a little bit more reset back onto the map. We won't see those second items coming across except for everybody but Hyper. And there it is. Magical. We love you. We love you. Somebody else who has hit that second item is Sudsy, right? And while he started off with the crown, the opt-in to the Nashor's Tooth means that this build will start coming online as well. So while Tony Top has been a big focal point on the Jax, I think Sudsy will also have a lot of influence, not just the utilitarian focus that we were talking about earlier.
It wasn't on the 13.7 patch, but Nashor's Tooth also got a pretty big change, giving it more, giving it ability haste and giving it all the such. Also, Azir being changed means that he's a little bit less attack speed from his W, and this is just gonna kind of supplement that. It does mean that he's not going to have as much AP in terms of damage when it comes to maybe something like a Rabadon's, but it is similar, something closer to maybe a Shadow Flame. And you won't exactly... There's not enough tanks right now. Like, Lunacia has his Sunfire, he has the Aegis, which is giving him a little bit of magic resist, but until that's really finished, I think we're kind of just waiting here as Tony, they're forcing the issue. They want to try and see if they can get the TP out from Lunacia, which is coming up.
We've already seen one steal. I don't know. The walls are speaking to Hyper. We'll see if he can take this one. They look like they want to turn it, though, as they don't want to go for another 50-50. That'll be a miss from Sudsy, and here come FlyFam. After some of those ultis have been used, there's the Nature's Grass coming in. A very split fight, but that sword is getting very low. You got the big ulti from Lunacia! And the Moonlight Vigil as well, but it's not enough. Instinct's already down, and Tony Top's picking apart the backline. Hyper's trying to find him, but he can't! And a double kill comes through! A shutdown goes over to Sudsy, and then back onto the Baron.
And Sudsy, such a long-time veteran here in semi-pro, finally kind of finds his mark. He's been someone that has been kind of bouncing around rosters, been somewhat of a mercenary, but this guy is insane on the Azir. He was doing so much work, not only cutting a Blaze off, but we'll take a look in this fight as to how much damage he was able to deal. Like, one of the things we were talking about with him in the actual qualifiers was the fact that back in the day when he was playing, his early rendition was, hey, I'm mostly a lane player, but now here in team fights, he does miss the ultimate, but like, he is zoning one of the biggest damage threats there. And we thought, hey, Lunacia landing this 4-man ultimate should be a massive game changer, but Instinct is not there, not in position to really get much. He's using the Infernum, and it just completely turns around the fight. I mean, Wallflower with his ultimate finding Hyper really early on, turns into a Baron, and now Dragon's being kind of going to be spawning soon. FlyFam are running out of options as Tony Top get more and more tanky.
And to be fair, Instinct did get a lot of damage off there, but it also baited him to step up, and that is a guillotine waiting to happen as Tony Top jumped right onto him with a Counter-Strike. And that's the thing in this situation is you are such a squishy little baby and you need help. And if you don't have help, Tony Top is going to take your lunch money.
Yeah, you got to get in the back pocket, man. Like, just stay there. It's okay. You got range.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can adjust their strategy coming to these fights, but it is a 4K gold lead in favor of Team Tony Top. You've got so much strength now coming out of these solo laners, but also a Zeri who's coming online, and now a Dragon in 30 seconds.
Very, very scary as you can take a look at the gold lead on the screen. 3,000 there for, like, Tony Top just has a full completed item over Malphite, which...
There we go, though. Engage. You've got red-white on Instinct. They're using all their... They're just like, Wallflower, you've had a good enough game that we need to focus you. The trees will burn. And Tony Top will lose their jungler at least, but Tony Top himself taking a side lane turret.
Yeah, he also just forced out the ultimate away from Blaze there, so I think FlyFam are feeling the pressure, the sweat dripping down their backs. They're like, guys, we could very realistically lose this game. Like, we don't have enough damage. We have to overforce to kill a Maokai. It does stop them from getting the dragon in the time being, but you already see how much of this map that they control from the side of Tony Top. They have the Azir turret as well, which makes it so much more easier. And because they have the Baron, that Jack's side lane split is going to be so dangerous. I don't even think Instinct and Sword actually make an impact here. They could definitely get taken down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering now, we've obviously seen the game plan play out for FlyFam, but it's about getting the timing right for that, right? To continue stacking up these objectives, try to find that fashion, but you're not going to have that now, right? You're going to have another delay of that. You're going to get this dragon over to Team Tony Top, and while they got that side lane tower, they've got to reset, get back on the map, and continue looking for picks. It doesn't stop the need to be proactive because, again, we said it for draft, we've stated it a couple times, Team Tony Top's team fight is insane, not only because of the lead they've gotten, but because of the composition they have.
Yeah, this is something that they always do throughout the qualifiers. They're a team that, you know, in the early game, they will not necessarily make a ton of moves, but they are built specifically for team fights. They know that when the game comes down to it, a lot of the games are not going to be decided very early on, at least in the qualifiers. Let's just go for scaling. Scaling is always king, and obviously dragons are super important. We're going to go for it.
Levitate. They need to be proactive. The wild growth comes through. He's still alive.
What?
He's put so much time, and Levitate is the king that stays with his head on his shoulders as the rest of the team from FlyFam falls. And it was all a bait. Like, he dies, it doesn't matter because you've just potentially lost the game.
FlyFam are looking for a nerf onto Shield Bow, please. He put out so much damage. He lived for so long, and this might be the final push. They don't have a pretty big mini wave. There's a mini wave coming in, and they do have Azir. Tony Top are going to be looking to take one really big win. They may even just try to go for another inhibitor here with everyone down.
That'll be lasting damage onto FlyFam here, but honestly, what a way to come through. It's been incredible. I love the shout. I was actually just about to say, Snow with these wild growths have been incredible. Like, we know this combo is so good, but it's all about timing and who you focus. And my goodness, the timing is here.
I'm loving it from them. I'm specifically really happy for Snow and Levitate. These two, I think, got a lot of criticism, rightfully so, during the qualifiers as to, hey, you guys are a little flippant. Sometimes you guys tend to be a little coin flippy, but this time around it lands heads, and Levitate and Snow just showing off a lot of the duo synergy that they've been showing off throughout the year. It's been a new duo. They just started over in November, early December, and so far these two have really started to climb the ranks in bot lane pairings.
Really impressive stuff to do, especially against an established bot lane such as Instinct and Sword. That is a big thing to pull away from this game. Number one is you're seeing an opt-in to a playstyle we've known Team Tony Top for, but it's also who shows up, who executes on the day, and right now the execution is all in Tony Top's favor, as now they are looking around for these picks, and we're seeing a little bit of that kneel back into submission for FlyFam.
It's really funny that you actually talk about kind of just the new duo and specifically just how they've been playing, because Tony Top, again, we were talking about how they stacked up from the qualifiers. They said, we're confident that we could beat any team at the promotion relegation tournament, but when people hear that, you're thinking, yeah, you say that because you're probably doing a hype piece, but it really does come down to what team shows up. Do we get a strong FlyFam? Do we get a strong Tony Top? Because that ends up making the big upsets that everybody are super excited for. And now we've got Baron spawning here. Lunacia could TP, but he's just walking his little rock, but like all the way across the rift, he's got to make it on over. If FlyFam can find a good position here where they're sitting in a death rush, they could look to find one pick. Wildflower already had vision as to where Hyper was, and now it all kind of comes to this at this point, right?
Yeah.
Really interesting from Sudsy. Look at this itemization.
Hey, you know, you got to stay alive. You got to be able to peel, because the last time, it wasn't just the wild growth. That Emperor's Divide, if it's not there, Levitate dies. That was an insane moment, a insane team coming together for Team Tony Top, and it's about the execution that you were saying. But speaking of execution, FlyFam still have a lot of that in their core, right? They still have the pick-out potential. Yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble here. As Tony Top's actually going to try to jump over the wall here, I'm sure. Okay, no, he's not going to go for it there. We will get the speed up onto the rest of the team here. They know that they're outmanned. They have Blaze backing right now, and Lunacia just has to run away, trying to use defensive.
Oh, no!
He was already connected, and the Bramble Smash brings him right back, and you are one with the earth once again, Lunacia.
Oh, wow. I mean, Blaze getting found there completely opens up the fight. They know, hey, we have a numbers advantage. Blaze is going to have to teleport if he wants to get here on time. And now Hyper, everybody, if you're a FLYF fan, you need to be in his back pocket as a huge fan for him to make this deal. It's just not going to be possible.
He's just going to die? Hey, that's his GA pop. Oh no, Sword's gonna have to pull out some miracle here. That's just a death onto the juggler. FLYF, he does get out nicely done with the flash. Thought the Tony Top execution was gonna come through, but that just means that the jungle is Team Tony Tops. And Instinct trying to run away, but that'll be a reset needed for FLYF before another dragon comes up onto the table.
All right, this is a dragon. You know, it's our 5th dragon of the game. I don't think we're going to be seeing a soul, depending on how fast this game is going to be, but with how important Baron has been for Tony Top, they should just be looking to take down these structures. This dragon does not matter. We are looking to open up all the inhibitors. The mid and bottom lane will be respawning in a minute, but they're trying to sync up with these waves. You see mid lane is pushing, Wallflower is escorting that in, and it's so hard for FLYF to find it.
So juicy. It was so juicy for a moment, but they waited, they hesitated, and now everything is coming to bear on the FLYF. They'll try to get one more engage. They got Blaze in the back line, but it's the re-engage. The big Emperor's Divine and Team Tony Top, they have stepped to their namesake. They kept their game plans front and center, and they'll take game number 1 against FLYF.
Massive game here for Tony Top as they take the game 1. I mean, it was all around that early action, right? Wallflower and Tony Top saw early vision, early wards. They disrupted the early pathing coming out from Hyper, and everyone just cleaned up from there. Everyone knew what their job was.
Yep, jobs were given out, the hats were assigned, and everybody put them on. Looked real good doing it too. Now we do have a little break before we bring back Summer and have our Rally Cry halftime show, so don't you miss it.
Welcome to the Spring 2023 LCS Challengers League Promotion Tournament. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Smax, and we're here to talk you through everything you need to know.
The promotion tournament will feature 8 teams from the North American developmental landscape, the 4 lowest placing NACL provisional teams from Spring, and the 4 teams who earned the most qualification points across the 2 NACL Spring Open qualifiers. These 8 teams will be placed into a modified double elimination bracket. Our first round will have a provisional team matched up against a qualifier team in a best of 3.
Seeding for the 4 provisional teams was based off performance in the NACL playoffs, while the qualifier teams were ranked by total points earned across both open qualifiers. The winners of the first round will play each other in the upper bracket best of 5, with those winners becoming the first 2 teams welcomed into the summer NACL season. The losers of round 1 will be sent down to the lower bracket, where they will play a do or a die best of 3 against another round 1 loser. The winners of this best of 3 will move on to our lower bracket best of 5, where they will face off against the loser of an upper bracket best of 5 to qualify for summer NACL. Those eliminated will have the chance to re-enter the open qualifiers next split to earn the chance to challenge the promotion tournament once again.
So, best of luck to the teams competing, and we'll see you there.